What happens if we change our example for force and delay by adding let dummy be 8 and force delay of dummy? So the intent here is to delay the lookup of the dummy variable to get 8, but to force that, and then we expect to get 8 out as the result. But if we run this program, then we find that our new test, our revised test, fails. We expect to get an 8 out. We actually got a 0 out. And that's because this program was rewritten to something like let dummy be 8 in lambda dummy 7 dummy. And now you see the problem here is that the original dummy that we wrote right here got wrapped in a lambda that also happens to use the name dummy. And because of that, we end up getting the 0 back instead of the 8 that we expected. So this problem is easy enough to fix if you control the whole program. You just don't use dummy in both places. You make sure that your macro introduces a name that no one else ever thinks of. But that's a problem if you don't control the whole program, because how do you pick a name that no one ever uses? And the answer is you can't until the language gives you some support for that. So the traditional solution to this problem is to introduce a function called gensym, and gensym will make up a new symbol that no one else is ever going to use. Right? Plait doesn't have gensym, but we can import it from Racket like this. And once we have gensym, then we can call it like this, and it picked the name G54196, which is not a name you were thinking of and not one that you would ever think of before. Actually, it's a little more to it. It goes out of its way to pick a pointer that you can't even think of. But let's just take for granted that gensym somehow picks a name that we don't use. So now I add gensym also as a form into curly, which means that I can use it in the delay macro implementation. So now I've revised delay to not always use the name dummy here. Now it's using the name gensym instead. And so even if I do let dummy 8, then we'll reliably get 8. It doesn't matter what variable name I pick here, gensym will always pick something that I didn't pick before.